what's your name?
Hi, I'm Adriana Di Dino.
And how old are you?
I am 33 years old.
So how did you come into kickboxing?
So I have two other business partners, and one of them is Christine. She actually started kickboxing for fitness years ago. She told me to come try it. I thought she was crazy, but I went, and I was addicted ever since. It has to be over 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. So how old were you? The first time you were in your 20s?
20s.
Okay.
I was in my 20s.
What was it like that first time, the very first time?
I was a little bit intimidating, which is how I can relate to people that come in here for the first time, but it was really challenging, and I just knew I wanted to go back.
So Adriana, before you got into kickboxing, what was your job and what were you doing?
I was working in advertising. I got my degree in marketing and management, and I soon worked in an advertising agency, in general advertising and pharmaceutical advertising. It was great. I worked as the liaison between the clients and the creative team, but I knew that it was a really tough career to continue. So finding kickboxing was an amazing thing for me.
Why would it have been a tough career to continue?
The long hours, the hard work-life balance, I think that's really important. I love working, and I love working a lot. I just like to have the balance, and I feel like kickboxing affords me that balance.
Tell me what it is about being a business owner or entrepreneur that makes you much happier.
I like that it's flexible and that I'm my own boss. I already put pressure on myself to do what I'm supposed to do, so I feel like I'm very disciplined that way. I also just love that I can kind of share what I'm doing with other people, and that's like probably the greatest thing.
What is it about kickboxing versus any other sport or boutique gym you could have opened that makes you, how does it make you feel, and what is it about it?
I think that the feeling that I felt the very first time I took my first kickboxing class was like no other feeling I had in a regular full-service gym, let's say. I always found that to be boring. I wasn't someone that worked out all the time. It was just, I really enjoyed kickboxing. And then the added bonus is not only do you get really great results physically, but it's mentally really an amazing stress reliever. So that's always the extra bonus.
And what other kind of things have you tried that you have to compare it to?
Yeah, I actually do yoga. I try to do that at least once a week. I really enjoy that. I think that's a great complement to kickboxing. I always tell everyone that asks me what else I do. That's really it. I really enjoy yoga, heated yoga, and once in a while I'll do Bikram yoga. But yeah, I enjoy all types of yoga as well.
Awesome. What is it that you like about teaching?
I like that I can show others what I've learned, and I love seeing, especially people that are very new to it, I love seeing their reaction and how much they really appreciate it and enjoy it. It's just really nice to be able to motivate others and be in a positive environment every single day. So I think that's my favorite. And the communication the relationships that I built with everyone. It's just a friendly environment. It's so nice. So that's another really nice thing.
That does sound really good. So do you think for now this is what you want to do for a very long time?
Yes, and it's interesting you ask me that, because when I first started in kickboxing, it was way before a lot of people knew what kickboxing was or treated it as an exercise. So I was asked by so many people, do you think this is a fad? And I said no, and I am proof, because I have stuck to it for over 10 years and I've never gotten tired of it. Every class is so different than the next. Every instructor is different, their style, their music, their energy. So I know that this is something that I'll do for hopefully another 20 years, I don't know.
So being that you're a teacher, and I assume you have a teacher, where do you, I guess, how do you expand your skill set?
Sure. So I do whenever I can. First of all, I always take every class here. All the other instructors, you can see me next to you in class a lot of times when I'm not teaching myself. In addition to that, I love to do pad work, which is with the focus mitts. So that's really helpful in always brushing up on your technique, both being on the holding side and the hitting side. So that's an amazing way to brush up on your technique too, and keep it realistic.
Because it's a practical sport, and that you can only get better by doing it.
Right, exactly.
So you're kind of the example for the students. What exactly, can you describe your training schedule for the week? How many times you train and what you normally do?
Sure. I'd say I teach at least 10 classes a week. I split my time up, yes, between Carroll Gardens and Park Slope. Normally I don't teach more than 2 to 3 classes a day. And my style of teaching, I would say it's nonstop hitting the bag. So I just try to keep it moving the whole time. Try to switch it, keep everyone's attention, keep everyone going.
So you're basically working as they're working?
I'm demonstrating and motivating more than I'm working out. But I'm going around, I'm jumping in here and there, but for the most part I'm making sure that everyone is following along with what I'm doing or saying.
Got it. So outside of the classes, when is the time, I guess how many times a week do you take a class?
I try to do at least 5 days a week of kickboxing. I try to do 1 day of the yoga just to break it up.
Okay, got it. Tell us a little bit about how you started in business, like how many locations, about your partners.
Sure. So I was training for over 10 years, as I mentioned, and then I started teaching as well, probably 6 or 7 years now. I was teaching in the Carroll Gardens location in Brooklyn. The location then went under new management, new ownership, and that was Kelly. That's one of my business partners now. And then together with Christine and I, we became partners about 2.5 years ago and opened up a second location in Park Slope, which is steps away from the Barclays Center. What's really nice about having the Brooklyn locations is that I was born and raised in Brooklyn. So it's really exciting for me to be a small business owner in my own neighborhood.
Where do your parents live?
My parents are still in New York. We were raised in Brooklyn, and they moved out to Staten Island now.
Okay, gotcha.
I have some family in New Jersey as well.
So what do your parents do for fitness? Like, what influenced you growing up?
My parents, it's funny, I remember my mom doing like the Richard Simmons and the Jane Fonda tapes and stuff, and she would always do it at home because she was raising 3 kids.
That's so funny.
Yeah. My dad, he was mostly working a lot. He, worked with his hands, so he was always working. And
what did he do?
He owned an auto body shop for many years.
So he's very
handy.
Yep.
Yeah, hands-on. So he was just exhausted when he got home.
Imagine, because it's a physical job.
And they were older, and now that they're both retired, they actually bike ride together. They'll do leisurely walks and things like that.
So they were never very sedentary. They're always...
Yeah, they did. They moved at their own pace, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do your friends think about the kickboxing or your being an entrepreneur in fitness?
They are the best, and they're really happy for me, and they've always been so supportive. They're just so great and encouraging. They're always asking me how things are, and it's just really sweet to know that I have such a good support system.
Do they take any classes? Or
some of them have, yes. Okay. Some of them have.
Do they think it's hard?
Yes. They find it to be challenging, but I'm glad at least they took a chance at it, so it's good.
So, because you do kickboxing, are you a fan of watching kickboxing, Muay Thai, or MMA?
Here and there. I'll be honest, I don't watch it that much, but that's how I am with all sports. I've always been really athletic. I'd much rather throw a ball or hit a ball than watch a sport. I know I'm probably not supposed to say that.
Well, I don't think so. I think it makes sense. Adriana, what do you do on down days or days where you just don't feel like doing stuff? What's your motivation or motto for yourself?
I think we all go through those days, and I just remember where there's a will, there's a way, and that's what kind of pushed me forward. you know, it took a long time for this to actually materialize, I guess. So I always just remember that everything's a process, and you just have to have patience. And if it's something you want, you know, just don't listen to anyone that's going to try to tell you otherwise. You know, just work for it.
What taught you that lesson? Or is that something you witnessed with your parents?
I think my parents, you know, my parents were immigrants, and they came to this country with really nothing. So
it's amazing.
And my dad opened up his own business with very little, and he just kept pushing. And I guess it was the example that I saw growing up.
How old were they when they came to this country?
Early 20s. They were just married, newlyweds.
They were like basically starting their life as adults.
Exactly.
And then starting a family.
Right.
And starting in a whole new country with a different culture. And a
new language.
Oh God, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.